today's video is gonna be a little more different than any other video I've ever posted. Granted, I have had videos where I just sit and talk to you guys, but I haven't really talked to you guys on like an emotional and vulnerable level. Simply because I'm not good at it. I am not great at emotional intimacy, and I'm trying to get better at that, you know? These past few videos have had a common theme, with it being February, which is obviously the month of Valentine's Day. And it had me thinking like a lot. So in my Omegle video, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the confessions video that I just posted, but I mentioned that in the intro of the Omegle video, I said I was looking for love on Omegle. That was a joke. You know, like, I just want to make that abundantly clear before I get into what I'm going to talk about today. Because, yeah, I am not looking for love in the slightest. Like, at all. I haven't for a while now. And I was really thinking about, like, I sat down with myself and I was really thinking about it. Like, growing up as a kid, I used to daydream about my future boyfriend. And then, you know, once I found out that I was bi, then it was, I can't wait for my either future boyfriend or my future girlfriend. But as I've gotten older and have had more experiences with romance, I don't know if I want that anymore. So I had to sit down with myself and I realized I don't think that I crave that anymore. Because through relationships, I have developed abandonment issues, like in my early, I would say around 16, 17 into my now 20s, those abandonment issues have now devolved into commitment issues. And I was at work when I was thinking about this. I don't know what thought provoked this whole spiral I've been in for the past few days, but I was at work and I sat down with myself and I realized I have straight up commitment issues at this point. And I realized that truly and honestly, that comes from the last situationship that I was in, which sounds so ridiculous, I know, but genuinely, yeah. And I feel like I don't have a lot of people in my life to talk about this with. Like, I could talk to my friends about it, but I've already talked about this guy to them quite a lot, and I feel the irritation. You know, I feel that they are like, bitch, move on. So I'm not scared to bring it up, but it's like, I'd rather not put that burden on them. And my sister kind of knows about my, like, everything that happened with him. But again, I don't feel, like I said earlier, emotional intimacy is not something I'm good at in the fucking slightest. So regardless of who it is, it's hard for me to talk about this situation on this deep of a level, because truly I feel naked when I do talk about stuff like this. And I figured, why not bring it to you guys? Because yes, I am putting this on the internet. I was gonna put it on my Patreon, because on my Patreon is where I post like exclusive content, or like content that I don't feel like fits with my usual content on this channel. But this is so near and dear to my heart. I figured, why not post it, you know? Like, I need to get this out somehow, because I've been living with this for the past like year and a half, and it's truly eating at me, and I need to get it out some way, somehow. So with me essentially talking to a camera, even though I know it's you guys, I'm essentially talking to a camera. So it's a little bit easier for me than if I'm sitting with somebody and looking them in the eye while I'm talking about stuff like this. So yeah, I had a situationship late August into September of 2024. So with that being said, like I said earlier, this is not a usual JoJo video. Like, I am not JoJo right now. This is Jordan. Okay, this is Jordan. We're peeling back the funny, goofy layer, and we're getting to the nuances of this human being. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into great detail about this person or things like that. But what I will say is that we had a relationship for about a month. It started off, okay, actually it was longer than that. So we met a year just about prior to when we started to get romantically involved. But he was always kind of there in the back of my mind, you know? From the moment I met him, I had a crush on him. And then when we started talking more a year after we met, he admitted to me too that he also had a crush on me this whole time. And so when we did get romantically involved with each other, immediately it was like our relationship went from here to here. You know, we would text every day, we would talk every day, we would hang out every night. Like, I remember not the first night, or maybe the second or third night we ever really hung out with each other. He was at my place from like 8 p.m. to like 6 in the morning. And we were just up talking, watching movies, the whole nine. Like, nothing romantic happened, but we were together all night. And from that point on, it was like our relationship just grew like this. It was like this exponential, like fast paced, like, and I don't want anybody to think it was love bombing, because it wasn't anything like that. It was just we grew attached to each other so fast, and we both recognized that, I guess. But on his end, it scared him more than I was scared of it. You know, because when I like somebody, and like I said, I liked him for a long time before we even ever got romantically involved. When I get involved with somebody, I want to drown in them. You know, like, I want to forget where they end and I begin. You know, I love with everything I have, and I'm realizing now, I don't want to say that's a problem, but it's how I've conditioned myself ever since things ended with him, because look where I am now. You know, hurts, commitment issues, you know, nothing good came out of that. Okay, so over the course of our relationship, we talked all the time. There, like, a second didn't go by where we weren't communicating in some form. And with me never having had a relationship before him, like, everything we did just felt so relationship like, and I got attached to that very quickly. But regardless, it kind of came out of nowhere where he kind of decided to end things. And like, before he even sent me that fucking 80-page long, I don't know what the fuck, but he sent me a whole paragraph being like essentially saying why he didn't think that we should continue communicating, which is fine. It's something I'm not used to, but it's like I developed an attachment in a relationship to him like I have no other. I would get into situations with guys, but never to that extent. Like, it was just a lot. So when things ended with him, I wasn't shocked. I think I was just disappointed. I don't know. I still haven't figured out the word for it. But I remembered I felt him pulling away for days. Like, he would text me less. Ever since he gave me my gift on my birthday, which, by the way, the gift he got me on my birthday was genuinely the sweetest thing I'd ever gotten by anybody in my life. So that made him like me even more, you know? But when things ended, like, I felt him pulling away for days, you know? Like, I was seeing him less. We hadn't hung out since my birthday. I don't know, like, something about me, I can just feel when energy shifts. I can just feel it from the moment it happens, you know? So I texted him, like, what's going on, essentially. I don't remember exactly how I put it, but I think I told him something like, I don't know what the fuck I said. I deleted the whole text thread. Like, after we stopped talking, I deleted the text thread because I was so sick and tired of scrolling over to my DMs and seeing his name at the top. Like, it just made me sick. And I generally, to move on, I need to forget about somebody entirely. So I deleted the whole message text thread, but I said something along the lines of, I feel you pulling away and I just want to know what's going on. So then he sends me this message saying that He doesn't think that he can be in a relationship right now, which I get because, you know, he had his own shit going on that I already knew about. And he basically told me that he wasn't ready for a relationship, which at the time I understood. I don't know. I just remember sobbing my eyes out that night and for so many nights after that. You know, it was just this month and a half spiral. I could not get him out of my fucking head. It was quite literal mental torture. You know, like I was stuck in bed for days on end. I couldn't eat, couldn't shower, couldn't do anything. I would literally applaud myself if I went 5 minutes without thinking about him. I remember there was this one day, like pretty soon after things ended, and I was watching like this hour-long video, and I remember like continuously checking the timestamp on the video and like patting myself on the back for going 1 minute without thinking about him, 3 minutes without thinking about him, you know? And granted, when I did that, I would think about him again. So it was like a continuous cycle, but still it literal mental torture. Could not get him out of my head because it's like he quickly became such a constant in my life that when he just up and disappeared, I forgot how to function. And is it my fault for putting that much of myself into somebody that easily, that quickly? Sure. But that is exactly why I'm here now making this video, because I need to be honest with myself, and this is the best way I can think of going about that. But yeah, when things ended with him, I was going through this nearly 2-month spiral of being sad that this person who was so present in my life was just all of a sudden gone. It was like even though he was alive, obviously, I would have this like I don't know, like I just felt so, it almost felt like he died, you know, because it was like just nothing from him, absolutely nothing. So it's like I was going through that spiral of like grieving somebody who was still alive but just wasn't in my life anymore out of the blue. But then I was thinking about how, like, before him, I had already had situationships where they would just not feel like they could commit to me. And I turned that back on myself. So I already had this, like, deep-rooted thing in my brain of, like, why am I not good enough for somebody? And even when me and him were still at our peak, I guess, I don't know. But when we were still happy and involved with each other, there would be this thing in the back of my mind where even though he was right next to me and we were good and we were happy, I would think, fuck, this is gonna hurt when he leaves. You know, because I'd only ever dealt with guys or people in general who couldn't find it in themselves or whatever, or couldn't find something in me to want to be in a committed relationship with me. So it was like when things did end, it was like even more confirmation that something truly is wrong with me, why people cannot commit to me. You know what I mean? So not only was I going through this whole spiral of being sad that he was gone, I was going through this spiral of being like, fuck, I'm not good enough for anybody. You know, and I could not figure out what the fuck it was about me that just wasn't good enough for anyone. And I feel like, clearly because I'm crying like an idiot, I'm still struggling with that. Even though, trust me, I have built my self-esteem back up since then. Trust me, even though I'm crying, I still am the baddest bitch alive. Believe that. But still, it's something that eats at me. It's something that eats at me. And I'm not gonna lie about that. And then months ago, in either July or August, whenever he reached back out to me after everything happened, he apologized for how things ended. But in that same paragraph, he told me that he was now in a relationship. Even though when things ended with me and him, he said the reason things were ending was because he was not ready to be in a relationship. So it is me. So it is me. Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. Yeah. Thank you for confirming my deepest fears and insecurities. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What would I do without you? Truly, you know? But yeah, when things ended with him, I told myself that the next person that I get involved with was going to be my husband or my wife. You know, like I cannot afford to put myself in harm's way emotionally ever again. Burying myself emotionally clearly hasn't gotten me anywhere. You know, and as unfortunate as it may sound, I have now conditioned myself to keep people who aren't a constant in my life at arm's length. You know, like if you're not my mom, my dad, my sister, or my closest friends, I keep everybody at arm's length because I am scared of people leaving me eventually. Because let me tell you, when things ended with him, I didn't think I was gonna survive it. Truly, I did not think I was gonna survive it. I was crying every day. My self-esteem had been at an all-time low. And not to mention, a year or two before him, I was going through this crippling depression, and having clawed myself out of that only to be brought right back down after him, I don't know. I couldn't handle it at all. And I don't think I will ever be able to handle something like that ever again. Like, I was not built for heartbreak. Truly, I wasn't. Granted, I don't think anybody is, but some are better at handling it than others. I am others. I am on the complete opposite side of that spectrum, you know? Heartbreak is not something I can deal with at all. And then, like I said, at work, I had this sit down with myself. I wasn't talking out loud, like I'm not fucking crazy. But I was just thinking, I had to sit down with myself and I was just thinking everything. I wondered, have I been avoiding relationships for the past year and a half because I don't want to get hurt, or because I didn't want to turn out like him? Because the way I have conditioned myself over this past year, I cannot commit to somebody. And I would hate to do to somebody what he did to me, you know? Because granted, I don't think he's a bad person at all. This is not me bashing him. This is not me being like, oh, fuck you, the bitch. No, this is not that. But it's like, he got involved with me. You know, I didn't put out the olive branch. I did not say, hey, I'm interested. Let's, you know, it was him. Why do that if you weren't ready to commit to a relationship? But then again, is it just me? Maybe he was ready for a relationship, but it just wasn't going to be with me. And he was trying to let me down easy, which you didn't, because here I am. But you know, so yeah, I've been thinking a lot lately. Maybe the reason I haven't committed to a relationship is because I'm scared that they will leave, and I'm going to try to leave first and use some bullshit excuse like that. And it's like, I'm now realizing I don't want to do to him, I don't want to do to somebody what he did to me. My fear is that I will turn into him, you know? But then again, I'm also thinking, if I do get involved with somebody, do I not trust the person? Or do I not trust myself to be okay if it doesn't end well? Do I trust myself to not go back into a months-long spiral if, God forbid, it doesn't go my way? And that's been weighing on me a lot. That has been weighing on me a lot, because I don't know. It's a blurred line. A double-edged sword, if you will, you know? Like, do I not trust this person to sit down with me and say, hey, I'm not gonna leave. We're here, we're good. Do I trust that? Or is it the fact that I have been conditioned to believe that everyone is going to leave me eventually, and I'm scared to again put myself in harm's way emotionally? I don't know. And I think that's why I have sworn off of relationships for the past year and a half, and probably always will be. I don't crave that anymore. Like, I may make a joke or two like, oh my god, truly I don't give a fuck at all. This has been the most at peace I've been in such a long time, not being involved with anybody. And it kind of makes me sad because truly I am such a romantic at heart. I love, but it's only ever gotten me hurt, and I'd rather not. I'd rather just leave it off to the side and, I don't know, get love from the things that can't leave me. Like doing this, doing YouTube, being with my friends, being with my family, that means everything to me. Like, truly, I've never felt this fulfilled in so long. And that means a lot, Not having to rely on a guy or anybody. And having this much love in my life that simply cannot leave me. It means a lot to me. And you know what? Yeah. Nobody has ever fulfilled me the way this has. Just me sitting in front of a camera and being able to connect to thousands of people. And I don't care how that sounds. Because while this may be my job or my hobby or whatever you want to call it, this has given me so much life. So much life that nobody ever been able to give me. And I'm okay with that. And then I know people may say, oh, you can still date, you can still do this, you can still do that. I'm not a hookup kind of girl. I am already terrible at emotional intimacy, but I need that emotional connection before I can get to the physical intimacy. Like I need that emotional connection before I can get to that point, So hookups, that is out of the picture too. But yeah, I don't know the point of this video. I just kind of sat here and had a vent session to you guys. And I don't think I want advice. I'm not seeking anything like that. I just hope that if or when I do post this video, it helps somebody, or somebody feels seen, or somebody feels heard, understood, anything like that. Yeah. I don't know. But this was a lot. But this felt good. I don't care how cliche this sounds. I feel lighter. Just sitting here, connecting with my emotions and just letting it all out. This felt good, And even if nobody watches this video or fucking everybody sees this video, I feel good. I feel happy. And I will continue to live my life the way I have been the past year and a half, and I see no issue because now that I've come to terms with it and have gotten somewhat of a better understanding of why I am the way I am, the way I have been, I feel pretty satisfied. I feel good, and I hope that in listening to this, whether you are going through the same thing or not, or have gone through it and have overcome it, whatever the case may be, I hope this was enlightening for you to hear from me, because, while it's nice to be my silly, goofy self 24/7, it's nice to have moments like these where, while I can crack a joke or two, there's another side of me that maybe you guys don't know the most about, but have the chance to, if you're willing. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me. This is nice. This is a good little sit down, and hopefully in the future we can have more of these. Maybe not often, but at least every other month or so, just to sit down and check in with each other and make sure we're all doing okay. Because I love this community, and my only goal is that we are all happy and safe and having fun here, at least, you know? So yeah, I love you guys. Again, thank you for listening to me. This was a lot of fun and this was really nice. So yeah, I love you.